for joining us. Today we have a great presenter to speak to us about federal contracting. He has some really great information and ways to take advantage and take part in this procurement process with the federal government. Next, please, Harold. My name is Irma Lopez, and I'm the Program Coordinator for the Illinois Coronavirus Response and Relief Business Center. We are in partnership with the Chicago Minority Development Council, or CMSDC. They received a federal grant or award to administer this program. And the program is meant to, next one, please, Harold, to provide subject matter experts to come in to train and educate on any resources or funds, grants, federal government agency opportunities in the following areas: financial, supply chain, organizational development, technology, sales, and legal. Now, we're not only limited to these areas, we have presented on many different subjects that may be of benefit to our small businesses in our efforts to maintain small business growth during this pandemic. Next, Harold. Today's topic, or Harold, will be covering conduct market researches on your buyers, to set up a profile at sam.gov as a federal contracting firm, complete your SBA or Small Business Administration Dynamic Small Business Search Profile, build a government agency relationship, and collaborate with contracting firms. With this, and without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Blackwell. Harold, take it away.
Thank you so much, Irma and Asante. Appreciate that. Good morning. My name is Harold Blackwell, and I will be your presenter for today. And the topic that we're going to touch upon and discuss today is federal government contracting, how to double your revenue in 5 steps. These are not exhaustive or long steps with regard to getting access or becoming a federal government contractor, but they are things where you can do these yourself and essentially become a participant in the federal government contracting game. So basically, one of the things that we're going to discuss is how to get started. It's not, I know from past experience when I first got started in the federal government contracting realm, that it seemed like a bear, and it was big, and it was arduous, and it was sometimes, as people say to me, overwhelming and intimidating. And I just want to reveal and pull back that curtain to show that it's not as I would normally think or believe just getting started, that it was difficult and an arduous task. It can be done. And also, I just want to also highlight that this is definitely something that's going to be worth your time, and you're going to walk away with some good information. First, I ask that in order to eliminate distractions, that you put all of your appliances or electronic equipment, digital devices, on a mode such as silent or even vibrate, or turn off your mobile phones if need be. And in addition to that, I also ask that you remain focused and engaged in the topic and the criteria, reading actively, etc. And also, please keep in mind that questions will be allowed at the end of the presentation. No questions prior to or while the presentation is going on. So for today's agenda, I'm going to, like I said initially in the beginning, provide you with tools and steps so that you can utilize for your benefit when beginning your federal government contracting journey. And a lot of that information is what the tools are. These are tools such as information, research, etc., for your benefit. And we'll also provide the access to or show you where and how to access resources that the U.S. federal government has for the benefit of small businesses and those looking to do federal government contracting. So this particular presentation is for people, individuals, business owners, etc., who are doing at least $1 million and plus potentially, and you've hit basically a barrier, or you've tapped out the markets that you're currently in, and you're looking to grow and expand your revenues. And one of the biggest markets to expand out to, if not already being done now, is the federal government contracting market. As for point of reference, and I'm going to read, this is something directly from the U.S. Government Accountability Office. Quote, in fiscal year 2020, the federal government spent more than $665 billion on contracts, an increase of over $70 billion from fiscal year 2019. Half of this increase, or $35 billion, is attributed to spending on medical supplies and pharmaceuticals to treat COVID-19 patients, among other things related to COVID-19. To also keep in mind, the U.S. federal government is a big buyer of not just professional services, but also commodities. And so when speaking of commodities, and as was just alluded to and mentioned about COVID-19, that basically refers to the commodities of PPE, or primary protective equipment, and medical devices, et cetera, et cetera. So there's definitely a large opportunity and a market, especially for those businesses, companies who are currently and actively involved in anything related to the medical industry and some of the offshoots as well. How do you get the medical equipment? Well, logistics and supply, or specifically trucking. So there are so many different aspects that are tangentially impacted and basically are involved in this market. So this is a background or executive profile of me, your speaker. One of the things I had also alluded to this conversation before we started the presentation, it was also explained to Irma and Asante. I am also the Director of Minority Business Development and Capacity Building for the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council, which is located in Greater New England, but I am based in the Connecticut office. And in addition to that, I also serve as the head of business development for 3DX Industries, which is a 3D metal printing or precision metal shop located in Ferndale, Washington. So what I expect, or what I'd like for all participants in today's presentation, is to basically have an open mind, be open to a new market, and do not be overwhelmed or view the federal government market as that intimidating. And my hope is that because of the fact I am showing 5 steps, it will show basically how easy it is to become involved in the federal government contracting market. And here we go. So, how I always remind some of my clients and customers is when starting anything or any project, especially when you're talking about a big project, is you have to do research first. And so what that means is conducting the quote unquote intelligence and identifying those viable things that you need to have on hand. And that always is market research. The federal government always provides that information. When I say conduct market research for the federal government, the federal government has collapsed down many of their existing contract or portals for information into one specific website. And that one website is called sam.gov. And on sam.gov, you can actually get access to past performance in terms of what the federal government bought, what the federal government also can sell, and how much were they buying in a particular commodity or professional service. So SAM.gov is the federal government's system award management. And with that system award management, where you can actually go in and access all of what the federal government has. The previous sites would show everything under such disparate websites. The F FPDS, which is also now in the sam.gov website as well. And these that was how you would get access to what the federal government purchased and bought historically, and the cost and how much they spent money on for those acquisitions. This is just a animation showing how to actually go about the process for sam.gov. Well, that's the thing about being live. Sometimes it always doesn't work, just like the Google websites. So the most important thing I'd like to also mention is creating a profile on sam.gov. With the profile, that basically will allow you to essentially create a profile for your company or your corporation or you personally as a seller to the federal government. Once you're registered, you then have access to sam.gov. Now well, I should say previously, there was a time when you didn't necessarily have to have or create an account on sam.gov, and you would be able to access the website anyway. And the prior or the previous iteration of sam.gov, I believe, was the CCD website, and that basically was uh, how you got access to what the government was selling, what the government was looking to buy, RFPs, requests for proposals, requests for quotation, etc. So, one of the most important things on sam.gov, when you actually start creating your profile and it walks you through, and let me take a step back, I'm sorry. When you start the sam.gov registration or creation of your profile, one thing I always advise and recommend is that you make sure you have enough time. So, when I say enough time and you intend on doing it for a first pass, make sure you set aside at least 2 hours minimum. Reason being is because going through it's not so much about it being a difficult process, but there is a lot of information that the federal government requires when you're initially setting up. And it's not just about your personal name and your business name. They want and need to know specifically what it is that you intend to sell to the government and why, where you're going to sell it from, where you're going to be located at, um, the years of experience you have. So then, in addition to that, once you've done the initial steps on the first part of the profile, you then have to create your SBA dynamic business search profile. So the DSBS, that's basically how procurement officers and contracting officers would be able to find you. I look at it as if you set up an account with if you're on Amazon Web Services or AWS or any other procurement service. For example, if you are a seller or buyer or you're registered with your state government or a municipal government is no different. And the more robust that that your profile is made, and the easier it is for the procurement officers and those individuals who have the decision-making authority and check signing authority, the easier you've made their life, the better it will be for you. So that this way, when there are opportunities that you qualify for, you're going to be in the mix for potential opportunities. And as I said previously, one of the most important things too is you have to be visible and you have to make yourself known to the procurement officers and the contracting officers. So one of the ways that you'll also be able to do that is you actually have to be engaged and you have to make it known. So what that means essentially is I look at it from a relationship management perspective. That's my background when I was on Wall Street was relationship management. And so when I say that, what that essentially I'm saying to you is you have to, I don't know if you're the one for being a salesperson, but you actually have to be a salesperson of and for your business, which means you have to reach out to these contracting officers and contracting buyers. Well, how do you know them? Well, remember the beginning when I said you need to do your market research. You have to do the research of finding and identifying who those contracting officers were and are who were buying your commodities and your services. And your commodities and services speak to and are identified by your NAICS code or your North American Identification Code. So if you have a clear and specific reference to your NAICS code and your explanation of what your product or commodity or services that you provide and want to sell to the government and what they can buy from you, you're in the game. And when you pick up the phone to reach out to an agency or the head of a department or a contracting officer, you can be real clear as to what you're selling and why you're selling and why you feel they need to be buying it from you. One other thing too I wanted to touch upon as well is what can help and benefit you in the federal government space as well is and not going to get too deep in the weeds with this. That's probably another presentation is federal government certifications. If you have a certification and you're certified, that basically is saying to a procurement officer or a contracting officer that you've been vetted and verified by the federal government or an agency. And usually in this case, it will be the Small Business Administration. And so the risk of you being the risk of you being a contractor is dramatically reduced from the perspective of being an unknown quantity. Some of the federal government certifications are the 8A, the Hub Zone certification. Now the SBA actually certifies women-owned small businesses. So not going to get into an explanation of the qualifications and the requirements for those certifications, but these are some certifications potentially you, if interested in getting any certification, I'd say look into the federal government aspect because then that will set you apart from all other participants and qualify you as a supplier or provider and to the federal government. Now back to my point about the engagement and the relationship management. And I know COVID-19 is here, and so there are many different mandates and requirements. And so with that said, like we're doing right now with this virtual presentation, sometimes the agencies and departments put on virtual conferences and events with respect to what they're looking to buy for the current year or maybe next year. And so I'd say then too, you have to be put on these lists of these governments and agencies that you wish to sell to so that this way you're receiving emails and timely information and will and can be contacted by the agency when they need and want to be able to contact you or reach out to you. So that's a benefit of being in these portals and getting started on sam.gov helps because when you're in sam.gov, you're not just going to be able to be found by the federal government and their buyers, but also now you have opened yourself up to where now globally you can be found. All right. So when I say collaboration in this sense, I know that there are some of you who maybe are going to be of a smaller size company or business, or maybe don't have a robust enough past performance, even if you're doing federal government work. So one of the ways that you can get around that if you see a bigger opportunity is to actually collaborate with another company. It could be a same or a similar sized company who is doing the same thing as you're doing, or maybe you guys have some offering that are similar, but maybe you're doing something a little bit different and they are as well. Well, why not combine your efforts and look to go for an opportunity where essentially it's going to be a synergistic relationship of taking down or going for an opportunity or an award? So that this way you're able to utilize, or you both will be able to utilize past performance and strengths um, of whoever the collaboration partner would be, for example, right? Um, and also, you can go and find opportunities where maybe they're probably going to be outside of your strength, or maybe you don't have, or you don't feel confident that you have enough financial capacity to go for an opportunity. This is where you can actually approach a larger um, performer or provider, or maybe even a large prime, and say and let them know that you've found an opportunity that you know would be beneficial for you to go after, and you can do the work, but there are some things that you're just not strong enough in, or you maybe don't qualify for on your own. So these are opportunities where you can go for a larger size, or I don't like to say all competitors are direct competition, but maybe engage a competitor, for example, and go for an opportunity where you both stand to benefit because of the strengths that you have and the strengths that they have as well. When combined together, you make for a compelling case of going for and winning an award and opportunity. All right. So I know that I went through this and I tried to be as succinct and coherent as possible, but now I'd like to say and open this up to questions and see if there's any thing that I may need to go back over, or I'm happy to be a bit more clear and specific at this point in time. And Asante and Irma, I'd like to open it up for questions.
Thank you, Harold. Looking in chat, I don't see any questions there yet. We have 5 participants total, 3 outside. I think that's 2 outside of you, myself, and Irma. Not sure if any of them have questions, but if they do, you all can come off mute and ask your question. I'm assuming maybe they don't have any question.
San, do we have an agreement to work with Mr. Blackwell for any upcoming consulting services?
Yes, we do. I put in the chat that Mr. Blackwell will be offering one-on-ones to participants and anyone interested in learning more about the process and getting a little bit more insights. They can reach out to us to make that initial connection. Um, if you Where there's the email, the ICRR at chicagomsdc.org. I'll put that in the chat for everyone. And once you all send a correspondence there, then I can make the connection between you all and Mr. Blackwell.
Yeah, San, if you wouldn't mind adding your email as well, I'm going to put mine.
Yep,
Want to reach
absolutely.
us directly. And this is a, you know, an uncommon opportunity. I have been attending webinars for the past 2 years. I know many of us are probably webinared out, but this is one opportunity that I haven't seen anywhere else where you are offered to come out and speak one-on-one with these subject matter experts. So please take advantage of this. I really like that we covered collaborating with other small vendors. So not everybody else in your space should be considered a competitor, but maybe a potential partner. And hopefully maybe time willing, we'll bring Mr. Blackwell back to speak on certification. As it is a great opportunity to tap into opportunities not open to everyone else. And as Mr. Blackwell stated, it's not a requirement for you to be certified, but it is a great tool and credential to have for any business, because it also helps you keep your records in place and practice good file keeping. So if you haven't started yet, please start doing that, because that's also very important when it comes to doing business with any government entity. They want to ensure that you have the capability and capacity to satisfy any given contract that you are looking to participate in. Errol,
Okay.
do you have anything else to add?
Yes, I do, and thank you so much, Irma and Asante. Can't thank you enough for this opportunity, and happy to be able to speak to the group and also to the Chicago MSDC. Also, to your point about being able and available to speaking with individuals, I just wanted to also explain that, you know, the one-on-one, we would actually look to engage with respect to whoever it is that steps forward and says that they want and need one-on-one assistance. Myself and also my team are more than happy to do that. My team consists of, and in combination, have won awards in the size of $500 million in aggregate. And these are federal government awards. So these individuals and people have been at this type of work for over a decade plus and have seen and understand some slight nuances that the federal government area has that other areas do not have per se. But then in addition to that, we have the expertise, and you can rely on us to help you be a partner in essence. So it's not where we're just telling you to do some stuff, go out here and do it, and good luck. But no, we be working hand in hand as a partner to help you do that, to help you do the research, to help you identify who your competitors and your collaborators really are, what those
That's
opportunities
huge.
look like.
Yeah, because there may be many consultants out there, but many don't have the hands-on experience and knowing, like you said, all the nuances and small particulars that people don't take into account that make for a big difference in having success in these areas. One thing we may have not mentioned is this consultation is free of charge. So there's no reason for you to not take advantage of it. Again, I haven't seen this being offered anywhere else. And as you can see, Mr. Harold has some extensive experience in contracting with the federal government, and contracting with government in general could be applied to just about anywhere else. They pretty much have about the same recommendations, some higher or stronger than others, but they're pretty much aligned with each other.
Yeah, and just to kind of come in and add a bonus point is, you know, I've been knowing Mr. Blackwell for quite some time. You know, we're both budding entrepreneurs, and when I started, you know, on my own professional service organization, of course I reached out to him. And, you know, of course he guided me on what I needed to do, and it's definitely opened up some opportunities with me to work with one of the nation's largest CDFIs, and also, you know, any opportunities that came with working with the Chicago MSDC as well. So you know, getting those certifications definitely helps, but also forging those relationships and getting your DUNS number and getting in SAM.gov's database actually really makes a difference. So
Yeah, and make sure you're not going into anything else that's not sam.gov, because as soon as you enter that into a search engine, you're going to get a lot of offers to process this for you at a cost. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Blackwell, these services or registrations are free of charge, correct?
Absolutely. The federal government charges $0 for any certification or getting into any database.
So make sure your link ends in GOV, because you're going to get hundreds. And just searching it, you're going to start getting a lot of pop-ups and, offering these services. Even if you pay and, working with my experience and certification, even having to pay a consultant or somebody that you're not extremely familiar with does not necessarily guarantee you an approved application or registration. So again, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you out. If you have any challenges or you feel that you're not being directed to the right link or you need help with the application, our team is here with the ICRR to assist you. And if we cannot, we will find the appropriate person or agency to help you through this. There isn't anything else. San, do you have any parting words?
Just reach out to Mr. Blackwell, reach out to me, reach out to Irma. We're here to support you all as we still go through this this COVID situation. There are a lot of opportunities as people pivot, you try to figure out what opportunities are there. Working with the federal government is just another source to generate revenue and to build capacity. So there are some new opportunities coming available. It's about just being ready to take advantage of those opportunities. So definitely reach out. We're here to assist, and we could definitely make the connection with Mr. Blackwell as well.
And then, Mr. Blackwell, if you don't oppose, are you okay with us sharing your presentation? We'll convert it to a PDF document and share it to those that registered and attended. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely endorse and I am fine with that. And please
Perfect.
do.
So look out for a follow-up email from San. He will be sharing the link to this recording as well as a copy of Mr. Blackwell's presentation. If anyone else doesn't have any questions, we thank you once again for taking the time for joining us. We do hope you take advantage of the information and the expertise of Mr. Blackwell. It's something that's new and innovative with the program. We're able to offer these services free of charge. So please do not hesitate to take advantage of them. Mr. Blackwell, thank you once again for sharing your expertise with us, taking the time to work with us, and we look forward to a continued partnership with you.
Thank you so much, Irma. Thank you so much, Asante. Thank you so much, Chicago MSDC. And I appreciate it and talk and see everyone soon.
Have a great day, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.